Hey there, Storm fans. Bryant Cook here, and today we're playing a Vintage League. And in front of you is a deck that I've brainstormed up yesterday, but before we get to that, I want to give you a little bit of a backstory. So, over the last month or so, I have not been doing well in Vintage. For 3 straight weeks, I was trying Hull Breacher based lists with a Wheel of Fortune and a Time Twister inside of Paradoxical Outcome combo. And my results and challenges were 0-2, 0-2, 0-2, and then I decided that I was done testing Hull Breacher. A lot of those losses were to Dredge. Because Dredge is so good against Pyroblast and doesn't care about Hull Breacher, it's really come out in force, and I'm someone that typically does not respect Dredge. So, yeah, I did not do well. And then during this time period, I played in a prelim, and I ran on accident due to a Magic Online bug a list that I had brainstormed up for Vintage Champs back in October on accident. And it was probably the best result I had in that time. I ended up going 4-1, just missing the qualification for the showcase qualifier, or whatever you want to call it. But that list was an accident, but it was, reasonably successful. So Saturday, I ran a list that was similar to that in the Vintage Challenge once again, and I'd have to look how I did. I didn't do well. I think I went 4-3, but I don't want to be quoted on that. Uh, and the big thing is that Pyroblast is so popular right now, and it's tough for Paradoxical Outcome to fight back the traditional way. So I decided I was going to play in the 3 a.m. challenge, but I was going to run Breach. And I ran Breach, but I ran a Tinker package inside of it. So that way I could still. So, one of my big issues with Breach is that it's always been a little bit slow against Shops. Like, Shops is actually a pretty bad matchup for Breach. And I was like, well, I can speed up the Breach deck by playing Tinker into Citadel. And my big takeaway from playing in that, and I lost my win in for top 8, was that Breach off of Citadel was amazing. Uh, but the deck lacked the ability to control Citadel well enough to continue to play that list. That's what I found for the most part, because I really just kept on finding myself going I wish this deck had Sunsea's Divining Top. I wish this deck had Sunsea's Divining Top. And then I'd click my heels and go back to Kansas or something. But yeah, so after the 3 a.m., I slept for 3 hours and then played in the Legacy Challenge. Did not do well in the Legacy Challenge. It's been a rough month. Actually, I've been doing well in Legacy recently, just not this weekend. But that doesn't matter. So after I scrubbed out of the challenge, I started thinking about Vintage because, even though I haven't been doing well, I want to fix the problem. I had a very good year in 2020, very, very good year, and a big part of that was Vintage. I had a lot of success with Paradoxical Outcome, and I feel, you know, attached to the deck. I like doing well. So I brewed up this deck. I took the strengths of Breach and paired it with PO. So out of the list that I ran in the Saturday challenge, I lost a Repeal. I lost the main deck Empty the Warrens that I had been testing. And by the way, Empty's super good against Xerox. It's the Red Monastery Mentor. If you're not testing that card out, you probably should be. It's actually very good. Don't listen to naysayers. I didn't think it would be good, and then it just continued to overperform. It's literally a Red Mentor, except it's way better against Xerox. And it's still good with Time Walk. You can use it to activate Citadel twice by sacking 10 goblins. It's great. Love the Empty. There's just no room for it here. So I cut the Empty. I cut a Preordain. I moved the 4th Pyroblast to the board. I don't remember the other changes. Oh, I cut Yawgmoth's Will and the Snapcaster Mage. So, other than that, so those 6 slots are the difference between what I was playing Saturday and this. So 5 of the slots are right here, and then this. Ooh, didn't mean to make you go away, Brainfreeze. Please don't do that. I had my list all nice and sorted, and then the 6th slot is Lotus Petal. Lotus Petal acts as another Black Lotus with Underworld Breach, because you actually don't need Lotus. You can win with the Lotus Petal. So once you have a high enough storm count for Brainfreeze, Lotus Petal will get the job done. Similarly, Mox Opal actually does the same. in this deck, Mox Opal can act as a Lotus Petal as long as you have Metalcraft for your Brainfreeze. So you don't even need Black Lotus or Lotus Petal. You can use Mox Opal, assuming that you have, uh, Metalcraft, and you're only looking to buy back the Brainfreeze once. Because Mox Opal does not go back to the graveyard. So you're looking to buy back Brainfreeze once and then, freeze yourself for the rest to hit the Black Lotus or whatever. But like Opal is a temporary stall, and I've done that a few times so far. So it's also a 15th artifact for Opal, which I found to be like super helpful. One of the problems with Breach traditionally, or not Breach, PO traditionally, is that its opals are a little bit weak, even compared to Legacy, the Epic Storm. The Epic Storm plays 20 artifacts, where this deck plays 14 typically, not counting Bolas' Citadel. So it can be a little bit rough. So that's the main deck. We're still a Tinker deck, we're still a Breach deck, we're still a PO deck. Honestly, I think PO is the tertiary plan at this point. It's probably plan A, plan B, plan C, but these two are pretty close. Like, I still just want to Tinker Fools. That's the strength of the list that I play. It's why I still run Mystical Tutor. You could run a Preordain there, but like, just cast Tinker. It's one of the best things you can do in Vintage. So I did mention I am not someone that that respects Dredge at all. Like, I just haven't been. That's changed recently. The deck is popular. It's very, very popular. It's good. Dredge's nut draws are insane, and I just haven't been doing well against it. So the way that I traditionally view challenges, and I mostly play in challenges, is that I'm going to get into the winner's bracket and let other people take care of the decks that I struggle against because they traditionally aren't in the winner's bracket. That's changed with Dredge. Dredge is a deck that I would go, I'm going to win my first 2 rounds and never look back. Can't do that anymore. Dredge is good. So I'm running Tabernacle, Tormod's Crypts, and Piling Needles. This gets rid of everything on the board. This clears the graveyard, and this stops Bazaar from being activated. Pretty simple. In my Breach list that I lost the winning in, I was actually running Ley Lines. And it came up once or twice that they're a little bit awkward with Bolas' Citadel. But, Tormod's Crypt is still a 0 for Opal, better with Citadel. We're running Tormod's Crypt. And this is pretty standard in here. I mentioned that the 4th Pyro was moved to the board, Hercules, and then Blightsteel. This could be a Sphinx of the Steel Wind, but I like Blightsteel against Shops personally. I played this list yesterday. In the first league, I went 5-0. I then played in the Vintage prelim and went 1-4, unfortunately. My first round was insane. I had back-to-back turn 2 kills with double protection. It was nuts. And then the wheel sort of fell off. And honestly, I don't know if it was the deck's fault. So, like I said, I played 2 challenges the day before. I stayed up and played the 3 a.m. I got 3 hours of sleep, played another challenge. I was exhausted. I'm not trying to make excuses for this deck. I think this deck is great. That's why I'm willing to record with it today. But I wasn't playing very well. I was very tired. And, the wheels fell off. And then I doubled down and played it in a league to prove to myself that this deck was great. And I just kept on misplaying. So we're going to bounce back today. And I've had a full night's rest. I think this deck is really, really good. I'm excited to play it. So I hope you stick around and watch the games and not just this deck tech. Round 1 will be coming up very, very shortly. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions in the comments or anything like that. All right, that's what I got. Welcome to round number 1. We are facing Fat Boy by day, and we are on the play. According to Goldfish, they play a lot of Oath. I hope that's not the case. Oath tends to be a fairly tough matchup. This seems fine. We'll keep this. Our opponent is mulliganing. And now they're going down to 5. Down to 4. They might be on Dredge. Yeah, their Oath result was from October. So, maybe I'm going with bad info here and that this hand is actually bad against Dredge. Alright, not a bizarre Baghdad. Maybe they're on DPS. I've actually run into DPS a few times in the last few days due to FNoop winning the showcase with it. We're going to upkeep spin top. Would have liked to draw a blue card there, but it's not the end of the world. Yeah, this is definitely DPS, I think. This might be a bad move, but this brainstorm's pretty juicy. Alright, so I'm guessing that it's DPS. I'm really looking to hit like Black Lotus so that I can... I guess Black Lotus doesn't allow me to tinker anyway. I'm not sure what I'm looking to top into here. Not another Bolas Citadel, that's for sure. Alright. This is our opponent's go turn. Do they have enough to kill us with 4 cards in hand? Sorry, I accidentally hit my mic. 4 cards in hand. And, yeah. So I'm going to force this. Alright, no tinker. And it is, in fact, DPS. I don't really want any of these, but... You don't really want to sack your since he's top to tinker, but when in doubt. And I think I'm honestly just going to pass. I'm alright with keeping a force on top. You could like be hyper aggressive and pass and then lose to like, you know, a top deck Yawgmoth's Will or something, and I'd rather just not do that. Sometimes it's better to play slightly conservatively, and this is one of those situations. Alright, and our opponent's passing. Alright, I will fetch away the Fluster here. Hold control. And it's important to put the card that you actually want to cast on the bottom so that you can cast it with Breach and not draw it. And our opponent has seen enough. So we steal game 1 against DPS. Okay, so definitely want these Flusters. I don't like boarding in the 4th Pyro against them. They don't play that many blue cards. I think that's all I want to do. Like, I guess I could board in Tormod's Crypt. I should look at DPS. I know that they play Dark Petition. They might have Cabal Ritual. Like, maybe Crypt is good enough. I haven't been boarding it in, but maybe I should. Alright, looking at DPS. 3 Dark Petition, Yawgmoth's Will, 2 Cabal Ritual. Maybe Crypt is good enough. Probably board out an Opal. And maybe even a land. Let's try this. I think this is probably a low end of a keep. Our opponent is mulliganed. Alright, they kept 5 this time. But our hand might not even stack up against a 5-card hand, let's be honest here. The old wait till the upkeep ancestral. I mean, I know why, like, force a negation, but it's just like a little annoying that there's always this pause in the upkeep now. Fluster is a good pickup. And I'll take these. Alright, feeling a little bit better about our position now. I think I'm going to allow this to resolve. So, it would be bad for us if they got defense grid. That said, I want them to spend more mana on their turn because they're low on resources. And then on our turn, we can demonic for Tinker and then vamp on their end step if we want. And get the artifact we need or something along those lines. I'm wondering if it's actually better to not get Tinker. Like, what if we get Breach here? Just talking out loud. So, I could also get Ancestral. So if we got Breach, my fear is that if we have to pitch the scroll to force, that Vamp becomes a little awkward because it can get Lotus or it can get Brainfreeze, but not both. Yeah, I think it's technically better to get Tinker here. Because, like, you can always get an artifact with Vamp. Where you don't need Vamp to get one of 2 pieces. So that was actually pretty close. keeping them off mana here. I could like wait and allow them to play multiple discard spells or something, but I think their uh, goal here was to cast Defense Grid off this, which is sort of what we're seeing here with the Academy. All right, we're moving. Cast Scroll to shuffle, get an Ancestral. And that should do. Now they're just going to cast Necro. Okay. So we actually don't need to... okay, well, they're just going to concede. But we didn't need to freeze ourselves. We could tap this for 4, use the red here, breach, just flashback freeze, and that would be lethal. That was round number 1. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Round number 2 will be coming up in just a second. Welcome to round number 2. We're facing Aficionado. I have no clue what they're playing. We're on the play. So we can vamp into Lotus. This is actually a turn 2 if our opponent doesn't have anything. This Bolas of Citadel, you know, not very great here, but is what it be or something like that, right? And they're F6'd. Steam Vents. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know if we can beat a Blast on turn 2, but we're going to try. Merfolk Trickster? Is this just like a weird blue-red Merfolk deck? I don't know. Basic Island. So they can't blast us now. They drew Mock so they can time lock. That's pretty good. Yep. And now they get to play a turn 2 DAC. Yep. Well, they still can't blast. That's the good part here. So we need them to have not have drawn a force. Is what this comes down to. They discarded Force of Will. Wow. Does that mean they have another? Okay, so that's an interesting draw. Wow, and now they're F6'd, which I think just means that they're dead. Oh, they on F6'd. So they have another force. So I could choose to fight over this, or I can just let it go. I'm going to let it go, and then I'm going to resolve Ancestral Recall. Because we don't need to win that way. And there's no point in keeping Lotus on the field when our opponent has a DAC. What did they pitch? The Oracle? Alright, so now if we could just draw a Breach, we'd probably win. Not really sure what our opponent's deck does. It appears to be some sort of Merfolk deck, but that could be wrong. Ooh, they've had some pretty good draws so far. Double Force, Ancestral. A good draw for us would be like Mox Jet, because then we could hardcast the Citadel. Honestly, like I just want to draw Underworld Breach though. Ding. So I'm casting this. If they drew a third force, we're in trouble. But really, forces, well, I guess they did draw a third force. God damn. Force is the only card that counters this efficiently in Vintage. That was disappointing. And now they're at the point where they can alt deck next turn. Maybe we'll draw the last Breach. I don't know. It's not looking too good for us. I think we were supposed to go for it last turn, but, you know, it looks bad that I went for it and they had a third force, but the math says you're supposed to, and I'm someone who believes in probability. All right, now they're passing. Alright, so we can attempt to cast Citadel here, but it's like kind of risky because if we flip a land, our opponent steals our Citadel. Well, that gets top. And now because I held control, I can kill this Dak Faden. I think I don't want to pay the 3 life for Narset. Trying to win this turn. Alright, I will pay the 4 for... do I want to die to, like, a bolt? I'm just going to draw it, I think. Feels bad. Oh, I should have done it because I had a 4, so what was I thinking? I'm not going to die to a bolt. So we'll be at 1 after this. Our opponent's giving some banter in chat, I believe. Did I miss the jet on the way down? You know, I've had that happen to me a bunch recently where I swear that I click on something and then it just doesn't. And I'd like to play Magic Online, but like part of me thinks that it's me. Part of it is like, why didn't it select when I clicked on it? I don't know. You wanted no deck. Now you have no deck. Shift. So there's like a Merfolk control deck with like a combo in it. I don't think I want the bolts. Probably set out an Opal here, take out this Hercules. Goodbye, Preordain. Yeah, that's probably what I want. And if you would like to show your support for this content, please consider visiting theepicstorm.com/shop. We have sweet The Epic Storm merchandise, as long as some card singles for Legacy Storm. Primarily. We have some other random stuff in there, but mostly Legacy Storm cards. We have opened a pretty interesting hand for game 2. Not quite hardcast Citadel, but we can PO and then have Breach for the following turn, maybe? I don't know. We'll find out. We're keeping. And Fish Inato is living up to their name by playing Merfolk and Vintage. Jigs up. They know our hand. Steam vents again. Alright, I don't really care about a true name. I'm wondering if I should pass. Now that I have a Pyroblast. Yeah, I think I'm going to. Because, like, well, I do have the read that they have a red blast of their own. I also sort of got the impression that they might just have like a force. And if that's the case, I'd rather have a second red source. I sort of got that midway through, or else I don't think I would have played this stuff out. I think it's just a force here. Our hand is a little clunky. Really would have liked to draw on a land. Alright, so we can attempt to PO for a bunch now. Yeah, it's probably still worth it to tap the vault. And there's the blast. Alright. They're down to 2 cards, so if I had to guess, probably force blue card. Really looking, I think, for our own blue card on our turn as a draw. A fetch would be fine, but ooh, do I risk the probe draw? I think so. Chromox. So we can play Breach. We'd have 1 floating, PO for 3. Or I can try to ponder into like a opal here, and then it gets way better. I think I'm going to do that. Jet. We can always take the land. It's sort of a sticky situation. because then the third card down is going to have to be a blue artifact for us to win. Actually, this just isn't good enough. I have to shuffle this because it has to be enough to keep the chain going. Because like this just isn't good enough. We have to shuffle. All right, so that was actually reasonable. And now we can draw 5 cards because I wasn't counting the breach itself before. All right, 5 cards. And that's going to do it. You might be saying to yourself, how lucky. Yes, but we also played to our outs there. Like, I recognized that what we had wasn't enough, and then I made an adjustment. So, it's not always just luck, even though it may seem like it. Hopefully this will be enough. Our opponent's saying good games. What a wild deck. I guess it doesn't hurt to play out this other opal. We're just trying to think if like our opponent has like a bolt in hand and they're trying to get us. What's the best way that we can avoid losing? Never mind. I saw their hand. What was I thinking? That was just stupid. Yeah, we're 2-0 now. Round number 3. Abaddon 5-5. We're on the draw. They've revealed that they're playing Dredge most likely. We have a hand that's like kind of bad. We can't afford to keep this, so we're gonna ship it. This hand just isn't good enough either against Dredge. Sure. I mean, I don't think we're winning this game now. We needed to open something a little bit better than this. Interesting. I think Scroll was actually one of the worst cards in that hand. So the plan here, to me, would be to end step Vamp for Ancestral with Fluster backup, but... Also, I'm not seeing a lot of blue cards, so this could be a black-based Dredge list instead of a blue. No Dredger. Sickening Shoal, okay. So they're on the list that Ryan Walagora Winged Hussar and evaded, I believe. I could be wrong. Alright, we're going to get our land destroyed by Strip here. But we still get to get Ancestral Recall. No Dredger still. Like, we see a Troll here, so they are playing some Dredge creatures. Wow. Well, we have to fight over this. Okay. Our last turn. Not going to do it. Alright, so we lost game one. We can board in all this. And yeah. I don't think I want to bring in or keep in like Hercules or anything. Bolt doesn't seem very good. Maybe board out a Breach. We did see ley lines. Still 4 cards. Pyroblast can come out, that's for sure. Probably this Fluster and Misstep. So if we have to keep a card in, it's probably Fluster. Counters on Mask and like Cabal Therapy. Is that better than third Breach though? Probably. Like we did see Leyline. Although they might board it out, I don't know. So we're just gonna sort of figure it out as we go. Alright, on the play for game 2. This Blade Steel makes this hand a little awkward, but I still think I'm going to keep it. Alright. So I could have played out Lotus there to avoid a Mind Break. I'm just... I don't know. I was a little worried about Force of Vigor, so I decided not to. And I can still play around Mind Break. I just need a PO on their upkeep. That's quite the fast start. I wonder if I'm supposed to PO now. Otherwise, I don't draw a card off the crypt. So maybe I got punished for not playing the Lotus last turn and worrying about Force of Vigor. Yeah, I feel like I'm about to get punished. That might have been a misplay on my part. Well, they had the Force of Vigor. Might as well add 3 red. Well, there's the mind breaks. uh, Alright, so we're going to time walk. Ooh, that was brutal. Oh. Force not very good at this point. I think we just have to pass. We only have one breach left as an out. So we're gonna freeze ourselves here just because I think it's better to have it in the graveyard in case we do draw the one outer. But I don't know what we're supposed to do. Like, other than breach, I don't know what our out is. Not that. Okay. So we're not 2-1. Round number 4. Looking to bounce back. I have no clue what our opponent's playing, but our hand is fairly good. We're going to keep this. Oh, no. Going to Ancestral on their turn, most likely. Avoids Force of Negation. We won't have to discard if we don't draw any Moxen. Oh, we're getting wrecked. Gonna need this Ancestral to do some work. How many Cabal Therapy do they have? One more therapy after this? Alright, so we just need to draw like Black Lotus. uh... So, Tinker. I wish I had Tinker, trust me. I have an option here. What I can do is I can just try to naturally draw Black Lotus, or I can upkeep Mystical for Brainstorm. I feel like that gives me the out of Brainstorm hitting multiple, so I think I'm going to do that. One Icarid, two Icarid, three Icarids, and three creatures. Yeah, our opponent definitely has lethal. Really strong draw from our opponent. And sadly not good enough. This gave us more outs and more fuel for the breach, so I think that the mystical line was definitely right here. Unfortunately, like, our opponent just like ran over us. So we're boarding in these again. Pyros can come out. Get rid of this Hercules. Against this version, they have more blue cards, so I might want all the flusters. We saw that they had Leyline too, and they know that we have Breach. I don't know. Like, part of me is wondering if I should, like, board out this package. So what we could do is just, like, this. Board out this right here. And then we don't really care about Leyline at all. Alright, let's try this. Nope. Opponent going to 4 cards. Maybe we stand a chance. I don't know. No Leyline. And there's the Bazaar. So we're looking to top into a blue card. And here I'm going to get Citadel. Okay, so we stole game 2. And I say stole because I feel like that one, we got a little bit lucky. Now we're on the draw for game 3. I still don't know if I want the Breach package. I feel like it's just, like, sort of not fast, and we need to be fast in order to win this. Also a little bit weak to Force of Vigor. Let me know in the comments what you think about this board plan. I don't know. I just don't have a lot of experience with this. Seems okay. And no Leyline again. Brainstorm. I don't hate it. Alright, I didn't want a third land. That was actually kind of bad. My plan was to always hide the 2 POs on top. Gonna let that go. It's only a draw, too. So we're definitely playing the Tabernacle. Oh, that was a blowout. I guess we fluster one. It's like pretty free to do so. So that way at least we get to keep our mocks and it's a draw one. That hurt. So I don't think it's worth it, but we could mill them for 15. But I think we don't really want to dredge our opponent. I just realized if this Brainfreeze, if we use it too early, we can't win. Because we boarded out all the breaches. Maybe that was a flaw in this plan. Because, like, if we get low on life, Citadel becomes unreliable. And now we're just dead next turn to the Icarids. So maybe we are supposed to keep in some number of breach. And yeah, we're dead. So just to make it clear, we're not dead to this. We're dead to Icarid coming back. We just can't do anything. Alright, choo-choo. Round number 5. We're on the draw, likely against Underworld Breach. Pyro is an okay pickup. If they want a Pyro Time Walk, I'll allow it. This card's not that good. Alright, so we found our red source in Sensi's top because it turns on the opal. I like these. So we could try to end step PO here. I don't think it's worth it. You know that our top card was top. We don't really want that. We're both kind of just playing setup here. It's tough to tell how their hand is, but we're actually doing things and they're not. So there's a good chance that their hand could be all studs or it could be fairly Dudley. All right, nurse it down. I'll take it. I think I'm going to shuffle these away now. This is like the only turn that I've done this, but I like didn't tap the Soul Ring because I was like, I just have to click twice, and this is the one turn where I would have wanted to click twice. These cards are pretty good. So I don't think I'm going to recast top or try to draw a top because I don't know if this is going to resolve, and I'd rather not have to recast top next turn because I don't think that this is going to resolve here. Yeah, now I'm not like awkwardly drawing a top that I didn't want. So I'm wondering if I want to get like Flusterstorm with this. So I just want to talk this out. Like hypothetically, let's say I get Fluster, play Breach, Fluster. Hmm. Tough call here. So let's go through that again. Breach, Fluster, and then we'd have 1 mana. So 1 mana, we'd have, let's say we use both Force and Fluster. So we have 2 cards going to the graveyard. So 3, and then Petal. I'd be able to create 3 mana. So Demonic for freeze would not win unless I flop top into a land, which I would have needed to do before casting this Demonic. I could always get Probe. I don't know how good Probe actually is. I'm going to get Ancestral. Oh, I had the mana floating. Shit. Fluster was the right call. But maybe Ancestral will act as a Fluster. Ooh. Just resolved. Really? Let's get rid of some cards we don't care about. I think our opponent might be out of stuff by the looks of it. Alright, that's annoying. I can stop. Alright, so 17 cards left. We did not flip Black Lotus. So, like, I'm thinking about our last match right now against Dredge. I think, like, even if we do finish this league 3-2, I learned something this league, and, like, that's pretty valuable to me. That, like, you just can't board out all the breaches. Sorry, like, I just have a lot of things running through my head right now. Like, that was, like, a pretty valuable lesson to me. Alright, so we stole game 1 against... I know it might look like Jeskai right now, but I faced them yesterday and they were on Breach, so... I mean, people can change decks. That doesn't really mean a whole lot. What turn was that? Turn 7. Turn 8, my bad. Okay. And our boarding for the 2 decks is fairly similar. Like, I don't need to board into Tormod's Crypt. It's something you can do. I don't know if I'm going to. I'm just clicking on them for now. I don't really like the top deck tutors in these sort of matchups. Probably side out an Opal. And like Preordain. Let's try this. I mean, Crypt isn't very good against Jeskai, but it can still like stop Ancestral from being bought back or something like that. Cannot keep. Can keep. This is a turn 2 Tinker with Force Backup. Ideally, you would draw like Flusterstorm. That is a good sign for us. I am very happy about that. No red source. I'm going to play the land here just in case they are on Jeskai. I don't lose to Daze. I mean, maybe that's playing too cautious, but I really don't want to lose to Daze. Pitching Cruise. Cruise is a card in both decks, both Breach and Jeskai. Oh, the land. Alright. Please don't punish me. Just lost out on some free damage there. Free damage is pretty good when I have a Citadel in play. Our opponent's last card could be a Force of Will. Even if it is, and they decide to counter this, we can still keep going. I could have played out Misty to have an available red source, but I don't think that's necessarily super good. But it looks like they do have a Force. Alright, so I don't think that was a misplay, honestly. That was just a judgment call. Alright, now we're going to Ancestral. Would rather not play a basic island. I do have this Academy. Non-lethal Brainfreeze. Hopefully they'll just allow it to resolve. Alright, so they're Breach. Ooh, they're like a Jeskai Breach. Combining the two decks. That's pretty cool. I mean, I didn't board in bolts for Lavinia's, but... Alright, so we... Not that I count my chickens too early, but this is going to be a 3-2 league. We defeated every non-Dredge deck. And I know that, like, I mentioned in the beginning that I tried to make an effort to beat Dredge. It's just a tough matchup. Even with PO, it's even worse with Breach. So I think I might have been boarding wrong as well. Not to, like, make excuses, I just think I boarded wrong. But I'm pretty happy with, like, beating every non-Dredge deck, considering, you know, everything. Where'd that Narset go? Woo, woo. And one of the nice things that I don't think I mentioned in the deck tech is that you can actually get Brainfreeze off of... let's close out of that. Is that you can actually get Brainfreeze off of Merchant Scroll. It's the only win condition in the deck that has the most tutors for it. Like in traditional 4-color builds, you can't Mystical Tutor or Merchant Scroll for Brainfreeze. With Empty, you can Mystical for it, but you can't Scroll. Brainfreeze actually fits in to this deck very, very well. And that's something I thought about mentioning. Like when I thought about doing this video, I wanted to mention that, and then I just failed to earlier. That Merchant Scroll is just like very good in this style of list. We're running a Hercules, not a Repeal PO crossover. Yeah, so if you have any thoughts on this league, feel free to leave them in the comments below, or thoughts on the deck list. I'd love to hear that. I mean, it's a little disappointing that I went up to 6 slots and still got bodied by Dredge. I could see myself cutting this Pyroblast slot for a 7th piece of Dredge hate, if I'm being completely honest. I do think that you need to keep 2 Fluster in the board. So this Pyroblast could be a 7th Dredge slot. If I ran another one, it'd probably be like Soul Guide Lantern because it gets around Leyline of Sanctity. It's also better to board in against decks like Breach and Xerox. So maybe a Soul Guide Lantern there. If you have any thoughts on that, once again, let me know in the comments below. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I know that 3-2 isn't the most impressive record in the world, but hey, it is what it is, right? Thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. Hey, Bryant Cook here. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, but also follow the social media channels down below. If you want to support this content directly, I would recommend going to theepicstorm.com/shop. And if you need a little bit of assistance with the Epic Storm to get to that next level, I would recommend going to theepicstorm.com/tutoring. Don't worry, there's more great content coming right up.